Sabbath peace.
Sabbath peace.
It's another opportunity for us to hear and learn of the word of truth that is given to us by the Most High God. All honor goes to the Father through the Son, whose name is Yahushua. In him lies the only hope for salvation. We know that it is obtained by grace through faith, not of works, lest anyone should boast, and given freely as a gift to all who obey him. We understand that if you do not obey him, it is made manifest or made obvious that you do not believe. In this state, you should expect no good thing from the Most High. However, anything that you do get, whether it be a gift of tongues, a gift of prophecy, or any supernatural experience that you may have, it can and it will be used against you in the day of judgment. With that said, peace to the saints that are in the room, to the saints that couldn't make it, but no peace to the wicked. The only thing we say to them is repent that they might live. So where we end off 2 weeks ago?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it's been 2 weeks.
No, sit down with everybody else.
Who remember where we left off?
We don't know, but you sit down and like with everybody else, okay?
We finished something. What did we finish? Good job. That's right. We finished. Good job, boy. We finished the book of Joshua, right? And what happened at the end of the book of Joshua? You about to tell us the walls came down, huh?
No, that was it.
That was Joshua. That was just the beginning of it. What happened at the end of Joshua?
I think the broken pieces.
The what?
I think they climbed up. Well, first they broke down.
No, you talking about the beginning.
They started, we talked going on first.
They start going to other places, taking stuff over. What else happened? Then they start handing out territory. So that's all right that y'all don't remember well, because guess what? Now we in the book of Judges.
Yep, I knew it.
And the book of
okay.
Judges is going, I knew it. Huh? The book of Judges is actually going to give us a nice little recap. So it's almost going to be like reading similar to what we read in Joshua. So now let's open up to Judges chapter 1, verse 1, and let's see what we got. Let's see if it can spark some of our memories. This is Judges chapter 1, verse 1.
Now after the death of Joshua, it came to pass that the children of Israel asked the Lord, saying, who shall go up for us against the Canaanites first to fight against them?
Uh-huh.
And the Lord said, Judah shall go up.
Right? So Judah got to go up first, according to the Most High. Right? Remember, Joshua gone now. So they trying to look for direction. Okay, well, how are we going to lead this thing? Most High God said, go ahead and, put Judah out there first. So let's see what happened next.
And Judah said to Simeon his brother, come up with me into my lot, that we may fight against the Canaanites. And I likewise will go with you into your lot. So Simeon went with him. Mm-hmm. And Judah went up, and the Lord delivered the Canaanites and the Perizzites into their hand. And they slew them in Bezek, 10,000 men. And they found Adonai-Bezek in Bezek. And they fought against him, and they slew the Canaanites and the Perizzites. Uh-huh. But Adonai-Bezek fled, and they pursued after him and caught him and cut off his thumbs and his great toes. Mm-hmm. And Adonai-Bezek said, 70 kings, having their thumbs and their great toes cut off, gathered their meat under my table. Uh-huh. As I have done, so God has required it, requited me. Uh-huh. And they brought him to Jerusalem, and there he died. Now the children of Judah had fought against Jerusalem, and had taken it, and smitten it with the edge of the sword, and set the city on fire. That's right. Afterward, the children of Judah went down to fight against the Canaanites that dwelt in the mountain, and in the south, and in the valley. And Judah went against the Canaanites that dwelt in Hebron. Uh-huh. Now the name of Hebron before was Kiriath Arba. Right. And they slew Shishai and Ahiman and Talmai. And from there, he went against the inhabitants of Deber. Right. And the name of Deber before was Kiriath Sepher. Mm-hmm. And Caleb said, he that smites Kiriath Sepher and takes it, to him will I give Asa, my daughter, to wife. And Othniel, the son of Kenaz, Caleb's younger brother, took it.
Y'all remember all this? Remember, we talked about some of this stuff. We talked about Caleb, and he ended up getting land in Judah based off of what?
Based off what God promised.
Remember, the Most High God promised him that since he went up and he spied out in the land, remember the Most High God sent out 12 spies, and Caleb was one of them. And when he went, he wasn't scared. Right? He came back and he gave a good report. He said, no, we can take this. The Most High God put this land in our hand. We could take that. Everybody else was scared, except for Joshua, right? You know what I'm saying? But everybody else was scared. And they're sitting there like, man, I don't know about this, man. Them boys some big old boys. We like grasshoppers in our sight. Right? They like, there's some big old boys. There's giants over there. What we supposed to do? Caleb was like, no, we got the Most High God give it to us. That's some good land. We got that. So the Most High God told him, he said, man, everywhere it's your foot walk, that's yours. You can have that. Right? So when Caleb went, apparently he walked in Judah. So he gonna end up getting Hebron. And now he's giving away some of the other land that he walked on. He's like, look, if you take this land, you know what I'm saying, I'll give you my daughter if you take this land, because he needs help taking the land. Right? The land is given to him by God. This is the situation. The land it's like the Most High God saying, you know what I'm saying, this house over here is yours. But if I look over there, somebody live in that house. Right? So now I got to find out a way to acquire that house. I got to go buy it. I got to go cut a deal. I got to convince them to sell the deal, this, that, and that. It's the same thing with Caleb. The land is given to him now, but it's people occupying that space. So Most High God say, well, you got to kill them all. Well, these boys can fight. So I tell you what, you know what I'm saying? I'm going to take these boys over here. And I tell you what, if you help me take them, I'll give you this land and my daughter. You got a land and my daughter. Right? So he's just trying to get some help with taking his territory. What?
Most High said, like, you couldn't, like, take things from different places. That's why.
Yeah, he told us that at different times. Like when Jericho, you couldn't take none of the stuff. It's only a few things you could take. You could take like the metals, right? The silver and the gold. But yeah, like anything else that's considered the accursed thing, you can't take that. Right? Good job remembering this. That's what you gotta do. You gotta keep this stuff in your memory. Right? You keep it in your memory. That's our salvation. That's salvation for us. If we keep the book in our memory, the gospel specifically in our memory, that's salvation. And this builds into the gospel. You know this stuff, it make the gospel clear. The way you remember the gospel is by remembering the history. Right? The gospel get confusing to you don't really know if you don't have the structure to put everything in place, because there's too many lies. It wouldn't be, listen, the gospel wouldn't be confusing to people if it wasn't so many lies in the world. Somebody could just walk out and you could just read exactly what Yahushua was saying, be like, oh yeah, that makes sense, and get it right. But there have been so many people that told us God loved everybody and this, that, and they just fill us up with lies. So when we read it, we start reading and imagining that the lies that we've been told is sitting on that page, even though that we never read it. So what happens is, by reading the history, it structures things for you. It starts to put your mind at ease saying, this can't be true because I know the consistency of the book. Right? When you know the history, it's like, no, that's out of God's character to say some foolishness like what y'all talking about. Right? So that's why we go over the history, because it puts structure. You get to learn about who God is as a God. Right? And then when you hear the gospel, it's like, oh, you can separate the lies, because you know it's like that's not even in God's character. It ain't no way in the Old Testament the man laughing at sinners and saying, you know what I'm saying, that he want to kill the sinners and that he hate the sinners. And then he come around the New Testament, all of a sudden he love everybody. It don't even make sense. And then you start, once it stop making sense, you look at it and be like, oh, well, that's actually, he's never said that. The only reason we think he said that because we believe lies. But you ain't gonna never read it. You never gonna read nothing in the book that say God love everybody. You know what you gonna read? Well, God so loved the world. That's what you're gonna read. God so loved. See, now we gotta talk about it. Let's grab it. Because it's a Christian watching right now saying, yeah, I'm in the world. Everybody is in the world, right? That's Christian logic. You hear that? It makes sense. God love the world. Who in the world? Everybody in the world, right? God love the world. Everybody in the world. God love everybody. 1 + 1 is 2, ain't it? That makes sense for a Christian. That's why we can't be Christian. You know what a Christian is? Who can tell me what a Christian is? What does it mean to be a Christian? The right answer is whatever that Christian decides to say at that moment. That's the right answer. But what does it mean to be a Christian, literally, the word?
My dad says, follower of Christ.
A Christian is a follower of Christ. Right? That's what it means to be a Christian, a follower of Christ. How many people follow Yahushua? Thousands. Books had called them what? Great what?
Multitude.
Great multitudes. That means a whole lot of people. That's what multitude means. Whole lot of people. And it said great multitudes. That means it's a whole lot of peoples, right? And they followed him, right? When he turned around and he got to speaking to the multitudes, how did he speak to them?
Parable.
He spoke to them in what's called parables. What are parables? Who knows what a parable is? Think of a parable as kind of like a riddle. Who knows what a riddle is? What's a riddle?
It's like something, like somebody gives you something to solve it.
You gotta solve it. It ain't flat out. If somebody tell you a riddle, it ain't flat out like you should be like, oh, well, yeah, that mean that, right? It means you gotta solve it. It's a puzzle. You gotta put it, you gotta say, well, what he's saying this, but this is what he really means. Like a riddle is somebody not saying what they mean, right? Why did Yahushua speak to people in riddles or in parables?
Because he didn't want them to understand. Seeing, they don't see. Hearing, they don't hear.
And did we make that up or did Yahushua say that himself?
He said it himself.
Yahushua opened his own mouth after speaking to these people in riddles or parables, right? He said out of his own mouth, I speak to them this way because seeing, they don't see, and hearing, they won't hear, and they can't perceive. So he's doing it intentionally so that people do not understand, right? That's how he spoke to the multitudes. How did he speak to his disciples?
Plainly.
He said he spoke to his disciples plainly. In fact, he explained the riddles to his disciples. He said, oh, when I said that, this is what I meant. He told the disciples this is what he meant. So now you got to ask yourself, do you want to be a Christian who follows Christ, right? Follows the Messiah, right? But then when it comes time for God to speak to you, guess what happens?
You don't understand.
It's a riddle. You don't understand it. That's a Christian. Or you can be a disciple. When it comes time for God to speak to you, guess what happens?
Plain.
He explains it.
Goes back to how he spoke to Moses and then how he spoke to everybody else.
Exactly. Remember when he spoke to Moses? Book say he spoke to him face to face. Apparently. Right? That's what we're looking for. We want to understand the Most High. The only way we can understand it is we put ourselves in this book and we push through the misunderstanding. Everybody started at a place of misunderstanding. Everybody started at a place where it's like, I don't know what this is talking about. But that's why we go over this every week, to get it in our brains and remember it, because what happened is the Most High God, he moves his spirit through us and then it gives us clarity. Just one day we wake up, and it happens slow over time sometimes, but for some of us, it might happen just like that. And one day we wake up and it's crystal clear. Right now, let me tell you something. You can't tell me nothing about this book. Nothing that's gonna go against what the book say. You can't, it just can't happen. There was a time where you could. It was a time when you could tell me anything. I'd be like, man, for real? But now, because I spent so much time reading the book and taking it for what it says, I don't add nothing to it. I don't put no imagination on it. If it say that, guess what? That's what it means. If that's what it say, then that's what it means. We don't play none of them games. We not add nothing. I'm not guessing about nothing. You ask me any question you want about the Bible, right? If you get to ask me, well, what does the Bible have to say about aliens? That's not none of my business. That's none of my business. The book never mentioned aliens. I'll tell you what the book do say. The book do say that, you know what I'm saying, the stars is angels. So now, from there, we can theorize all we want. But when it comes to what the book say, the book never said nothing about no aliens. That ain't none of my business. You got freedom to believe whatever you want to believe about darn aliens as long as it don't contradict my book. Right? What does the book say about what age you should teach your kids about, you know what I'm saying, sex? That ain't none of my business. That's none of my business. You teach your kid whatever age you think is appropriate, you teach your darn kid. Why all y'all get nervous when I talk about that? Look, everybody just started laughing. It's real life stuff. Everybody got to deal with these things. We got to look at it. We got to pay attention. We got to deal with it. Because guess what? The reason why a lot of y'all kids and a lot of y'all friends act the way they do, and the reason why y'all laughing is because these are unfamiliar thoughts. Right? And so it's like, ooh, you know what I'm saying? But you want to be mature when it comes to this stuff. You want to know what you're dealing with. You got to know what's ahead of you. You got to know how to react when you're in these situations. Right? But the book don't tell me when to do that. The book don't say, well, you do it at age 13 versus age 5. Whatever you decided to put there, you got freedom there. None of my, you can't ask me that about the book. You know what I'm going to tell you? You got to figure that out. I can give you my advice. I can tell you what I think. I can't tell you what the book say when it comes to that. But when the book say something, right? When the book tell you, you got to turn from all sin. Oh, God forbid that I come to you talking about just turn away from that sin. You know what I'm saying? What's the hardest sin for you? Oh, I just like to cuss. Okay, just stop cussing. Just gotta figure out everything else. That's a lie. I'm not about to tell you that. You know what I'm gonna tell you? Exactly what the book say. Turn away from all them things. And if you don't turn away from all of them, guess what's gonna happen to you? Fire. You going right to darn hell. You going to the fire. Right? I'm not gonna. I can't, cause that's what the book say. Am I saying that because I hate you?
No.
Am I saying that because I want you to burn forever? No. Quite the opposite. I'm saying that because that's what the book say. And I'm going to ride with it. So now when these white folks and these scientists and these Indians and all these other people that believe all this wild stuff, when they come to me and they be like, you really believe that there's fire that burns forever? There's no evidence of this. We've been studying science our whole lives and we've never seen that. Guess what I'm going to stand on? That's what the book say. And guess how I'm gonna look to them? Stupid, crazy. They gonna look at me like, well, you believe it. You really think some invisible man created the whole world in 6 days? Right? That's how they gonna look at me. And guess what I'm gonna do? Yeah, that's what the book say. So now I'm gonna live and I'm gonna die with the book, standing on it. Can't nobody say nothing. I walk in. And guess what? I got the confidence because I know these people can't outthink me. They can think they as smart as they want. I know they can't outthink me. And you know why they can't outthink me? Because the book. Not because I think slow is all outdoors. You ask me a math problem right now, I'm gonna stop. I'm gonna be like, okay, hold on. Carry the darn one. Okay, got it. You tell me to read this book right now out loud. I'm gonna read slow is all outdoors. And then Adam, why do you think he gotta read? But let me guess what? They can't, as stupid as I am, they can't outthink me. You know why? The book. No other reason. The book. The book gives you a logic that can't be, what the book say?
Peace to pass it all understanding.
That too, but what it say? What is it? Matthew 24 maybe? He say it can't be gained. They can't gainsay it. Yeah. That means they can't argue against it. When you can't gainsay something, that means you have no valid argument against it. You put me in any room with any topic, and I guarantee that people will not be able to gainsay what I'm saying. It don't matter what the topic is. You know why? Because I'm gonna tie it back to this. Whatever you talking about, I'm gonna be like, I ain't got no opinion on it because the book don't talk about it, or I'm gonna say, that's wrong because the book do talk about it. Or, that's right because the book do talk about it. Either way, whatever I'm opening my mouth about, when I'm aligned with the book, what can you say? Nothing. You can try to say something and I'm gonna bust your darn butt because the book is gonna be right. No matter how smart you think you is. And it's gonna make all of us wrong if we disagree with it. Right? That's why I teach y'all just go with what the book say. Not because I said go with the book say. We can do some research. What y'all want to do? Right? We can do some research. I can show y'all what it is. I can show y'all how wrong these scientists been and how this book ain't never been proven wrong. You know what they gonna say about the book? They gonna say, well, you can't prove what's in the book. That's fine. They're right about that. Some of this stuff you can't prove, but you can't disprove it. And there's a whole lot of stuff in the book that you can prove. So what I'm saying is just disprove anything in there. I bet you they can't do it. Right? You can't prove what your mama darn said to you, boy. She told you, you know what I'm saying? She told, these people mamas, they told them they were pretty their whole life. Prove it. Your butt look darn ugly darn me. You know what I'm saying? Talk to me about this. How you gonna tell me the world been billions and billions, trillions of years old? You know, that's an ugly statement to me. I don't believe your mama when she said you was beautiful. You get to talking to me like that, I can't prove it. You gotta prove it. Prove it. Who here got a birthday? Prove it. Prove you was born.
Birth certificate. Boom.
Birth certificate. Prove who wrote it.
The doctor?
Prove it.
Cameras.
Show me. But we believe it, right? Can't nobody tell you your birthday ain't your birthday. Why do you believe that? Why you believe it though?
Because my mom told me.
Because your mama told you. Do you got any reason that your mama would lie to you about that?
No.
So you trust your mama. Why do you trust your mama?
Because she's a trustworthy person.
She's a trustworthy person. She done took care of you. She's your mom. She gave birth to you, so you say. You can't prove it. But she gave birth to you, right? She took care of you. You have experiences with your mom that you know for a fact happened. It's stuff that you can prove with your mom. You know for a fact that I was there last week when I was in trouble and my mama came and picked me up and she took care of me. I experienced that. So now there's things that you experience, things that you can prove that now gives validity to the stuff that your mom tells you. Right? If any of us had moms or dads or whatever that constantly got caught in lies to us, guess what? We might not believe what they said our birthday was. I'm like, man, I'm gonna go ask grandma, because I can't trust what pops be saying. I can't trust what mom be saying, right? But then you end up finding people in your life that have a record with you that is provable, that you can remember and that you experience, and because of that, you believe everything they tell you about your past or about whatever, right? It's no different with God. Sure, no, of course, nobody can prove everything. You can't prove everything in the book. He never asked you to. But the stuff you can prove builds a record of honesty. So then you can now trust the stuff that can't be proven. I can't prove that Yahushua walked on water. I can't prove that. You know what I can prove? That there's a census record that history testifies of, and that there was an edict that went out to say, kill all these babies. So now the Bible tells you that happened. History tells you that happened. Guess what? Why is the Bible lying then? Why I gotta believe the Bible lying? Somebody catch the Bible lying for me so I can believe it's lying. Because right now, ain't nobody caught it lying yet. Everything y'all bring up on there is true. Let's see, what we turn to? We're supposed to be getting something, right?
John 3:16.
Oh, this is John chapter 3, verse 16. Somehow we gotta make it way all the way back to darn Judges. It's John chapter 3, verse 16. So now we gotta see what the book's saying. Because when we hear this, God loved the world, right? Who in the world? Everybody. So God loved everybody. Ain't that what the book say?
So you were saying
all right,
to know the history will make the Gospels make sense.
That's right.
People
Watch
don't
this.
know the Gospel because they don't know the history.
Right? So God loved the world, everybody in the world. That must mean God loves everybody. That's the Christian logic, right? Without understanding the history of the book, that makes absolute sense. We about to bust that open right now. Watch this, John chapter 3:16.
For God so loved the world.
God so loved the world. What does so love the world mean? Loved it a whole lot, right? Loved it very much. Ain't that makes sense, don't it? All right, watch this.
For God so loved the world that he gave his only begotten son, that whosoever believes in him should not perish, but have everlasting life. For God sent not his son into the world to condemn the world, but that the world through him might be saved.
Right? So now, that sounds like God loves everybody. He loved the world so much, very much, right? And he don't want nobody to be condemned. He want people to be saved, right? If you stop there, that got that. But I want us to go back, right? This is John chapter 3, verse 14. Watch this.
As Moses lifted up the serpent in the wilderness.
So just like Moses lifted up the serpent in the wilderness, what happened?
Even so must the Son of Man be lifted up.
That's the same way that the Son of Man be lifted up. So now he said, even so. What does even so mean? What does he mean by that? He's saying, even so, the Son of Man have to be lifted up that way. The same way.
Like saying just like.
Right? So now, when we say even so here, it means just like what I was talking about. Right? Moses lifted up to say, even so, Yahushua got to be lifted up. So Moses lifted up the snake, and just like that, Yahushua got to be lifted up. That makes sense here, right? Keep going.
That whosoever believes in him should not perish, but have eternal life.
That whosoever believes on him. So who, just like that, just like when Moses lifted up the snake and the people looked at the snake, whoever believes on him, just like him being lifted up in the same way, they shall have everlasting life. Watch this.
For God so loved the world.
Because God so loved the world. It's not saying that he loves the world very, very much. He's saying God loved the world the same way that when Moses lifted up this snake, right? He loved the world in the same way. So now, if you don't know the history, this still don't mean nothing to you. You looking like Moses lifted up a snake. What that got to do with anything? Now, if you go back and you read, and we read it, right? We went back and we read all this, right? But if you look back, was it Numbers?
No, that is, yeah.
Yeah, so you go back in Numbers and you look at it, what happened was the people did what, T?
The people sinned and murmured against God.
Everybody was sinners, and they ran their mouth against God, right? And then God put what on them?
He put poisonous snakes on them.
Poisonous snakes he sent after them. Now, pay attention. This is the history that's behind what's being said, right? God so loved the world. He loved the world just like this. God loved the world so much that when people were sinning, he put poisonous snakes against their butt. And then he told Moses to do what?
Make a brass serpent, lift up the serpent, and anybody that looks up onto the serpent will be healed.
So now, he so loved the world that he sent snakes against the people and said, listen, the only way out of this is you got to look at Moses holding this brass serpent. And if you look at Moses holding this brass serpent, then you'll be healed. But if you don't, your butt gonna die. That's the history of what we're looking at. So when people look at this and be like, oh, he loves everybody and he doesn't want that, that's not true. He's telling you, I'm putting everybody in the situation because they're sinners, right? And I'm gonna give y'all a way out, but you gotta do it the way I told you to do it. And if you don't do it the way I told you to do it, your butt going to hell. That's how we love the world. But if you don't know the history, you don't do that. You get to having Christian logic. Well, everybody's in the world and he loves the world a lot. So guess what? God loves everybody a lot. And you walk around stupid for the rest of your darn life, thinking, oh, well, I mean, I sinned, but God is still walking with me. Telling them darn lies. God ain't never darn walk with you. How you a sinner and God walk with you? This is First John. This is what I want. 1 John chapter 1.
3.
No, I want 1 John chapter 1. Or chapter 2. But let's try chapter 1 first. I probably want 2. It's 1 John chapter. Where does Zahar go? For what? Go get him. Tell his butt to come back up here. Here's some of this word. It's 1 John chapter 1. Trying to figure out how these people just feel like they can do whatever they want to do. And God okay with it. You can do whatever you want. Now, hold on. You can do whatever you want to do, but don't make God okay with it. Don't even make yourself believe God okay with it, because you don't have no way out. If you think you can do whatever you want to do and God is okay with it, you have zero way out. You stuck. You're going to keep repeating the same mistakes because you think it's okay. Tell yourself the truth. Even if you lie to everybody else, tell yourself the truth. Like, man, I'm going right to hell. When I get done telling all these lies and cheating and doing all this stuff, I'm going to go right to hell. Because at least if you keep that in your mind, as long as the Most High God let you breathe, maybe you got a chance to come out and repent. You ain't even going to think to repent if you think everything you're doing is okay. Don't make no sense. Only the devil will make you lie like that to your darn self. I ain't never seen so many people lie to themselves, man. I'm telling you, that's the craziest thing in the world. You be lying to yourself against your own interests. That's crazy to me. Keep going. Or what we want?
1 John chapter 1.
This is 1 John chapter 1. Give me, go ahead and start at verse 1.
That which was from the beginning, which we have heard, which we have seen with our eyes.
Watch this.
Which we have looked upon.
Uh-huh.
And our hands have handled.
Uh-huh.
Of the word of life. For the life was manifested, and we have seen it, and bear witness, and show unto you that eternal life which was with the Father, and was manifested unto us.
That's right.
That which we have seen and heard, we declare it unto you, that you also may have fellowship with us. And truly, our fellowship is with the Father, and with the Son, Yahushua the Messiah.
Uh-huh.
And these things we write unto you, that your joy may be full.
Okay.
This then is the message which we have heard of him.
Watch it.
And declare unto you that God is light.
God is light. Watch this.
And in him is no darkness at all.
It ain't no darkness in God. Watch this.
Max, sit down. If we say that we have fellowship with him
If we say that we have fellowship with him, watch this,
and walk in darkness,
and we walk in darkness, watch this.
we lie and do not the truth.
So now how I'm going to sit here and say, man, I be sinning, but guess what? God ain't never left my side. I say I'm sinning. What is another word? What if I'm sinning, am I walking in darkness?
Yes.
Okay, so I'm walking in darkness, but then I'm saying God with me. Ain't that fellowship? So the book say if you walking in darkness and you saying you have fellowship, you lying and you not doing the truth. But now when I'm supposed to look, because I'm polite, I got to be polite, right? When a Christian walk up to me saying this foolishness, I'm supposed to go along with it according to them. I'm supposed to be like, well, I can't judge you. Maybe you never know what God doing in your... No, I do know what God doing in your life because he just told me what he doing. If the book say it, that's what it is. Well, look, y'all, everybody can live how they want to live. I'm living and dying with what the book say. I'm standing on it. Ain't none of you don't have to tell me what you're doing. You don't have to come to me and you don't have to tell me, oh, I'll be sinning, but God's still with me. You told me that. So since you told me that, guess what? You're a liar. There ain't none. If you kept it to yourself, guess what? I'm not gonna ask you. It ain't none of my business. I ain't bothered by. I ain't thinking about what you doing. I'm good. When you come to me thinking that you a good Christian and ask me questions, guess what I gotta tell you? I gotta tell you what the book say. It ain't because I hate you. I love. In fact, if you don't have a problem with it, we can go have lunch. I'm fine. But guess what? If you got a problem with it, I ain't got nothing to do with it. Like, I don't hate you. That thing ain't got nothing to do with me. You live however you want to live, and I hope you enjoy it for whatever time that you get to enjoy it. What I'm telling you is, this is what the book say. And the only way to understand a book like that and have that much confidence in the book is you gotta know the history. Only reason I say the only way to do that is because we are surrounded by lies. Had we not been surrounded by lies, somebody could just come to you with the New Testament, tell you what Yahushua said, and it would sink in and you would get it. But we've been pre-doctrinated with all these lies. So by the time the truth get to us, it got to sort through all these lies first. So now the Old Testament helps us get rid of the lies, right? Let's go back to Judges. Let's pick it up and let's try to make some sense of this thing. Where we leave off on Judges?
Judges 1:13.
This is Judges chapter 1, verse 13. Watch what the book say. Try to shoot through this.
And Othniel, the son of Kenaz, Caleb's younger brother, took it, and he gave him Asa, his daughter, to wife. Mm-hmm. And it came to pass when she came to him that she moved him to ask of her father a field.
Uh-huh.
And she lighted from off her donkey, and Caleb said unto her, what is it that you want?
Uh-huh.
And she said unto him, give me a blessing, for you have given me a southland. Give me also springs of water.
Uh-huh.
And Caleb gave her the upper springs of the nether springs and the nether springs. And the children of Kenat and the children of the Kenite, Moses' father-in-law, went up out of the city of palm trees with the children of Judah into the wilderness of Judah, which lies in the south of Arad. And they went and dwelt among the people.
Uh-huh.
And Judah went with Simeon his brother, and they slew the Canaanites that inhabited Zephath, and utterly destroyed it. And the name of the city was called Hormah. Also, Judah took Gaza with the coast thereof, and Ashkelon with the coast thereof, and Ekron with the coast thereof. And the Lord was with Judah, and he drave out the inhabitants of the mountain, but could not drive out the inhabitants of the valley because they had chariots of iron.
Mm-hmm. Them boys had chariots of iron. They tried to drive them out, they couldn't get with them.
That's a Philistine boy.
Right? So they look like, all right, we're going to come back to y'all later. You know what I'm saying? Because they couldn't get with them. They had chariots of iron. Them boys were well equipped. Right? Keep going. Watch this.
And they gave Hebron unto Caleb, as Moses said, and he expelled there the 3 sons of Anak. And the children of Benjamin did not drive out the Jebusites that inhabited Jerusalem, but the Jebusites dwell with the children of Benjamin in Jerusalem until this day. Mm-hmm. In the house of Joseph, they also went up against Bethel, and the Lord was with them. And the house of Joseph sent to descry Bethel. Mm-hmm. The name of the city before was Luz. And the spies saw a man come forth out of the city, and they said unto him, show us, we pray thee, the entrance into the city, and we will show you mercy. And when he showed them the entrance to the city, they smote the city with the edge of the sword, but they let go the man and all his family. And the man went into the land of the Hittites and built a city and called the name thereof Luz, which is the name thereof unto this day. Neither did Manasseh drive out the inhabitants of Beth Shean and her towns, nor Taanach and her towns, nor the inhabitants of Dor and her towns, nor the inhabitants of Iblaim and her towns, nor the inhabitants of Megiddo and her towns. But the Canaanites would dwell in that land. And it came to pass when Israel was strong that they put the Canaanites to tribute, but did not utterly drive them out.
Right? So remember, that's what we were told not to do. We talked about that last couple weeks ago. That's what we were told not to do. We were told not to cut no deals with them. And when you're supposed to kill somebody and you end up saying, okay, well, I tell you what, you could just be my servant. That's cutting a deal. You made a deal with him. Most High God said, don't do that, right? So watch this, keep going. So Joshua gone, right? And now people just starting to make decisions that don't line up with what the original commandment was. Watch this, keep going.
Neither did Ephraim drive out the Canaanites that dwelt in Gezer, but the Canaanites dwell in Gezer among them. Neither did Zebulun drive out the inhabitants of Kitron.
Right, so now these are all the tribes, right? We talking about all the tribes, and he's giving you a list of all the tribes that didn't drive out everybody. So in other words, if he didn't drive them out, that means they still around. Somebody run back there and tell the kid to be quiet, right? That means they still around, right? So let's see, keep going.
Neither did Zebulun drive out the inhabitants of Kitron, nor the inhabitants of Nahalol, but the Canaanites dwell among them, and because tributaries. Neither did Asher drive out the inhabitants of Acho, nor the inhabitants of Zidon, nor of Alab, nor of Achzib, nor of Helba, nor of Aphik, nor of Rehob. But the Asherites dwell among the Canaanites, the inhabitants of the land. For they did not drive them out. Neither did Naphtali drive out the inhabitants of Beth Shemesh, nor the inhabitants of Beth Anath, but he dwell among the Canaanites, the inhabitants of the land. Nevertheless, of Beth Shemesh and of Beth Anath became tributaries unto them. And the Amorites forced the children of Dan into the mountains, for they would not suffer them to come down to the valley. But the Amorites would dwell in Mount Heres in Ahilan, and in Shalbim. Yet the hand of the house of Joseph prevailed, so that they became tributaries. And the coast of the Amorites was from the going up of Akrabim, from the rock and upward.
It's chapter 2?
Yeah.
It's just Judges chapter 2. Watch what the book say.
And the angel of the Lord came up from Gilgal to Bochim and said, I made you to go up out of Egypt, and have brought you into the land which I swear unto your fathers. And I said, I will never break my covenant with you. And you shall make no league with the inhabitants of this land.
Right? When you say no league, league means an agreement, right? You know, y'all play for basketball leagues and all that, because that's a bunch of teams that came together, and guess what they did? They made an agreement that these are going to be the rules. This is how we're going to pay the players. This is all that. So that's a league. It's an agreement.
KD did what he did. That new collective bargaining agreement coming out. Them boys about to.
Like them boys up. You think that's about to happen?
Them owners about to get them.
Yeah, boy. You know what I'm saying? Like, now we putting an end to all this crybaby stuff.
Yeah, buddy.
Yeah, buddy. You know, they need to penalize them boys. You know what I'm saying? You lose half the jug. You know what I'm saying? You pull some stuff like that, you lose half your jug. Request a trade. I dare you. You lose half the jug. Whatever your contract say, cut that thing in half, 50%. You know what I'm saying? You on a clearance rack now, boy. You know what I'm saying? Go ahead. You can go to whatever team you want. Well, I ain't paying you nothing. Them boys be, you know what I'm saying? Go ahead. I'll take them. You know what I'm saying? That thing be a whole other ball game if you do that. You know what I'm saying? They should let me negotiate that thing. I put the league right back where it's supposed to be. All these boys requesting trades. You know what I'm saying? Sorry, boys. Every year they want to switch teams because they can't win. Don't nobody want to compete. LeBron, the worst player ever, man. I'm trying to tell you, man. Goodness gracious, bro. That boy ruined this thing. Let's get back to it. It's, what we up?
Verse 2. And you shall make no league with the inhabitants of this land. You shall throw down their altars, but you have not obeyed my voice. Why have you done this? Wherefore I also said, I will not drive them out from before you, but they shall be as thorns in your sides, and their God shall be a snare unto you.
Right? So you see, when they start cutting deals with these people, that's when it's like nobody driving nobody out no more. Because you start messing up. You start cutting deals. right? I think Manasseh was, if I'm not mistaken, I think Manasseh was the first one to cut a deal, right? And that was before Judah and them started running. So Judah and them, you know what I'm saying, they do the best they can. Simeon, like, no, I can't drive them boys out. They got chariots. You know what I'm saying? All of a sudden, everybody just start cutting deals. Right? Then it get tougher. You can't drive these people out like that no more.
Dan didn't even get their land.
Yeah, Dan, you know what I'm saying? They got pushed up. They got pushed up to the mountains. You know what I'm saying? Because they couldn't stay in the valley, the book said. Now, that ain't quite going all the way north. Dan is going to end up all the way north when it's all said and done. You know what I'm saying? Right now, they just got pushed up, you know what I'm saying, a little bit more north. You know what I'm saying? Because they supposed to be in this little, you know what I'm saying, the top part of that yellow area on the left. You know what I'm saying? They supposed to be right there.
They're going to be above.
So there's some mountains right there. They're supposed to be in the valley. They got pushed up to the mountains. But they going to end up going all the way up just because they can't find no safe place for them. You know what I'm saying? They don't want to scrap. So that's what we going to look at. You know what I'm saying? What they're supposed to do is you were supposed to fight. And even if you couldn't take these boys, you know I don't deal with you. You don't deal with me. And as soon as I get my army right, I'm coming back after you. It's supposed to be war, right? If you can't take them right away, then you take a little rest, you know, relax, but you get back at these boys. Because the Most High God already told him, he said it's going to be slow. You ain't going to be able to take all them boys at once. He said he's going to move them out slow. Mess around the land, swallow us up. You know what I'm saying? The beasts of the land get it because we can't fill up the land. We ain't even got enough people to fill up the land. Right? Keep going.
And it came to pass when the angel of the Lord spake these words unto the children of Israel, that the people lifted up their voice and wept, and they called the name of that place Bochim, and they sacrificed there unto the Lord. And when Joshua had let the people go, the children of Israel went every man unto his inheritance and possessed the land. And the people served the Lord all the days of Joshua, and all the days of the elders that outlived Joshua, who had seen all the works of the Lord that he did for Israel. And Joshua the son of Nun, the servant of the Lord, died, being 110 years old. And they buried him in the border of his inheritance in Timnath-Heres, in the mountain of Ephraim, on the north side of the hill, Gaash. And also, all that generation were gathered unto their fathers. And there arose another generation after them, which did not know Yahuwah, nor the works which he had done for Israel.
Right? So it's a generation later. That's how, people don't realize how that really happens. But that's what happened. Like, you got to understand, you got to look at, like, reality. Right? If you look at the real world, right, you got history books that were very clear. You got people that were walking around. You know what I'm saying? Whoever heard of Abraham Lincoln? Right?
Zahar, come
You got a whole group of people today that will swear to you that Abraham Lincoln was a black man. They'll swear to you, no, he's a black man. There's evidence for it, this, that, and other. When he was walking around on this earth, did nobody call him a black man? Right? But what happens is everybody that was living, when he was living, died. He died. They had kids. Their kids grow up. Guess what? Their kids living, then they die. But they had kids. So when you get to their kids, they don't remember nothing about Abraham Lincoln. And then they stop believing what they've been told about Abraham Lincoln. So guess what? Some genius comes up and be like, this picture looks like he was a black man to me. And then they just start saying he was a black man. And a group of people believe it, right? That is how things work, right? There's a show called C, and I started watching this show only because of the premise of the show. The premise of the show was the world is filled, 7 billion people. I just read it, right? You know how you read the thing, you know how you read the show before you watch it. So I'm reading it, and it's like the whole world got a virus, right? And then only 2 million people survived. So as soon as you say that to me, I'm like, oh, that's crazy. The world going from like almost 8 billion people to only 2 million. Like, y'all brains can't even put that, you know what I'm saying? You can't even put that number together. You know what I'm saying? Just how much of a reduction that is. But that's like zero. You know what I'm saying? It's like going to nothing, right? So then you got 2 million people that's sitting around in the world now. And guess what? None of them can see. Everybody who survived this virus lost their sight. And it becomes genetic because they have kids, and guess what? Their kids can't see. So the premise of the show, I'm still reading it. The premise of the show is after a couple generations of that, people start believing that sight was a myth, that nobody was able to see. And matter of fact, if you talk about that seeing is a real thing, then you're a heretic. And it goes against the religion of the time, right? And it's an interesting concept. You start watching the show, the concept of the show is like darkness is good. You know what I'm saying? Because when you blind, everything is dark. So it's like we might say walk in the light. They would say walk in the darkness. You know what I'm saying? Because they blind and they don't even know what light is. They can't, you know what I'm saying? They can't comprehend it. So it's like walk in the darkness. And then all the technology of the world, they not using it because they can't see. So it's like, I can't see that this is how you operate this machine or nothing. You know what I'm saying? So they have to restart everything. They rebuild everything around people who can't see. You know what I'm saying? I say all that to say, this is a good show, by the way, but I say all that to say that is really how the world works. If you go so many generations, you look up all the history books of the people that was walking around and living and writing around the time that Yahushua was walking the earth. You won't find one of those people say Yahushua is fake. There's a lot of people that tell you now, Jesus never existed, that was a myth and all that. There were people writing who mentioned Yahushua, and they said bad stuff about him. They might have said, oh, people are crazy for following him. They might have said all types of stuff about him. One thing they never said is that he never existed. And these are people that was living at the time. All of a sudden, though, you get 2,000 years later, and what these people say? Oh, that's a myth. You never heard of it, this, that, and other. Because that's how people work. Who were we before we were slaves?
Hebrew.
We were Israelites. Hebrews. But guess what? These people start whipping us on our back, tell us stop saying Yahushua, start saying Jesus. And guess how many generations it take for us to be like, I don't know nothing about no Hebrew. One generation. That's it. And that's what we're seeing here. After one generation, they stopped remembering what Joshua and Moses and all these other elders were talking about. They forgot all about it. So all the stuff that we were told to do correctly, we forgot about it because generations have passed and we don't have a leader to uphold these things for us. So watch what happens here.
And also all that generation were gathered to their fathers. And there arose another generation after them, which knew not the Lord.
I want y'all to be quiet.
Nor yet the works which he had done for Israel. And the children of Israel did evil in the sight of the Lord and served Baalim. And they forsook the Lord God of their fathers, which brought them out of the land of Egypt, and followed other gods, of the gods of the people that were round about them, and bowed themselves unto them, and provoked the Lord to anger.
Right? So now we start serving all these other gods. Watch this.
And they forsook the Lord, and served Baal of Ashtaroth. And the anger of the Lord was hot against Israel, and he delivered them into the hands of the spoilers that spoiled them. And he sold them into the hands of their enemies round about, so that they could not any longer stand before their enemies.
Right? So now, get the picture. We went into the land, we start fighting, we took over some territory, but we didn't push everybody out. Then we start cutting deals with some of these people. What the Most High God did when we start serving other gods, he said, okay, these same people you cut deals with, these same people that you didn't push out are now the same people that's going to take over you and make you their servants. So the Most High God started letting these people take us over and beat us up in wars and make us their servants. Watch this.
Wheresoever they went out, the hand of the Lord was against them for evil, as the Lord had said, and as the Lord had sworn unto them. And they were greatly distressed. Nevertheless, the Lord raised up judges, which delivered them out of the hand of those that spoiled them. And yet they would not listen unto their judges, but they went a-whoring after other gods, and bowed themselves unto them. They turned quickly out of the way which their fathers walked in, obeying the commandments of the Lord. But they did not so. And when the Lord raised them up judges, then the Lord was with the judge, and delivered them out of the hands of their enemies all the days of the judge.
So now the word judges there, think of it as like when you go to a judge, what is a judge supposed to do? Who knows what a judge is supposed to do?
So two people go to the courtroom, and then they say things about the person, and the other person says things about the other person, and the judge like slams a hammer
Mm-hmm.
And it says what's going to happen.
Okay. Who else can tell me what? That's right, by the way. Who else can tell me what a judge does? What's a judge supposed to do? Go ahead. Supposed to figure out who's right and who's wrong, right? Why would a person go to a judge? Did something bad? What happened? Why would a person go to a judge?
For justice.
Go ahead. Huh?
They probably need help with something.
Need help with something? Typically, when somebody goes to the judge, it's because of a complaint. So typically, you have something called a plaintiff. Anybody ever heard that? That's because that's the person that has a complaint. They call them a plaintiff, right? And so what the plaintiff is the person that says, you know what? T stole from me, right? Now, I could walk right over to T and just knock him out. These are all facts. You know what I'm talking about? I just walk right over there and just hit him right in the face. Just be like, give me my stuff back, right? But that's not what the law says do. The law says take it to a judge. So in other words, I snitch. You know how kids say, I Tekashi 6ix9ine. You know what I'm talking about? I look at him, I say, you know what? T stole from me, right? Then we go in front of a judge. I'm the plaintiff because I'm complaining. My complaint is that he stole from me. What do I want from I'm the one who chooses to send me and T to the judge. T don't want, look, T, if it's up to T, he'll never go to the judge. That thing ain't got nothing to do with him, right? But I'm the one complaining, so I choose for us to go to the judge. What am I looking for from the judge then?
Your money back or something back.
Or punishment.
I want the judge to issue some type of punishment, right? I want the judge to avenge me, right? I want the judge to say, hey, something wrong was done to him, therefore this is what you have to do in the response, right? So when we look at the word here as judges, don't think of it as necessarily the one that slammed the gavel. These are people who avenge the people. Think of it as avengers, right? That's what the word actually translates to as avengers, right? These are avengers. So when you think about the movie Avengers, what do? Somebody attacked the world, something happened, they get out there and they kick their butt. And they avenge the world. They take up for the world. Well, this is kind of what the judges that we're about to read about do. We get taken over, we become slaves to other people, right? Because we disobey God. Then the Most High God puts an avenger there, and this avenger goes out and he helps lead us through the war and gets our land back and gets our independence back. And you're gonna see throughout the book, this keeps happening. We'll have an avenger, and it will follow the avenger, and then the avenger will go away. And again, I'm gonna keep using avenger because it's a better way. We have a context of what judge means. They mean the same thing, but when we think of judge, we think of somebody who just, slamming the gavel. I want y'all to get really what's happening. These are regular people, right? To some degree, regular people, right? That come out and they end up avenging their own people. They end up standing up for their people, and the Most High God give them what they need to be successful for a period of time at least. So let's keep going.
And when the Lord raised them up judges, then the Lord was with the judge and delivered them out of the hand of their enemies all the days of the judge. Mm-hmm. For it repented the Lord because of their groanings by reason by reason of them that oppressed them and vexed them. And it came to pass when the judge was dead that they returned and corrupted themselves more than their fathers in following other gods to serve them and to bow down unto them. They ceased not from their own doings, nor from their stubborn way. And the anger of the Lord was hot against Israel. And he said, because this people has transgressed my covenant, which I commanded their fathers, and have not listened to my voice, I also from here on out, I also will not henceforth drive out any from before them of the nations which Joshua left when he died. That through them I may prove Israel, whether they will keep the way of the Lord to walk in it, as their fathers did keep it or not. Therefore, the Lord left those nations without driving them out hastily, neither delivered he them into the hand of Joshua.
Was this chapter 3 or 4? 3? It's chapter 3. Watch what the book say.
Now these are the nations which the Lord left to prove Israel by them, even as many of Israel as had not known all the wars of Canaan. Only that the generations of the children of Israel might know to teach them war, at the least such as before knew nothing thereof.
Uh-huh.
Namely, 5 lords of the Philistines, and all the Canaanites, and the Sidonians, and the Hivites that dwell in the Mount Lebanon, from Mount Baal Hermon unto the entering of Hamath.
All right, he's giving us a list of everybody who's still around, right? So kind of look at this map, and it kind of, the map is kind of visualizing what the writer of Judges is kind of trying to tell us right now.
And they were to prove Israel by them, to know whether they would hearken to the commandments of the Lord, which he commanded their fathers by the hand of Moses.
Uh-huh.
And the children of Israel dwelt among the Canaanites, the Hittites, the Amorites, the Perizzites, the Hivites, and the Jebusites. And they took their daughters to be their wives, and gave their daughters to their sons, and served their gods.
Right, these are all the things the Most High God told us not to do. Don't make marriages with these people. So we done made marriages and served their gods and had kids with them. It's all the stuff Most High God said don't do. Keep going, watch this.
And the children of Israel did evil in the sight of the Lord, and forgot the Lord their God, and served Balaam in the groves.
Mm-hmm.
Therefore, the anger of the Lord was hot against Israel, and he sold them into the hand of Cushan Rishathaim, king of Mesopotamia. And the children of Israel served Cushan Rishathaim 8 years.
Uh-huh.
And when the children of Israel cried unto the Lord raised up a deliverer to the children of Israel, who delivered them, even Othniel, the son of Kenaz, Caleb's younger brother.
Right, so now this is our first avenger, Othniel, right? Caleb's younger brother, right? Othniel, like, all right, well, let's get to it then. Right, he see that our people been down for 8 years. Then he get old enough, or he get to an age where it's just like, I had enough of this. Right, let's do it. So the Most High God put a battery in his back, and let's see what happened.
And the Spirit of the Lord came upon him, and he judged Israel, and went out to war.
He avenged Israel, and he went out to war. Watch this.
And the Lord delivered Cushan Rishathaim, king of Mesopotamia, into his hand.
Mm-hmm.
And his hand prevailed against Cushan Rishathaim.
Mm-hmm.
And the land had rest 40 years.
Right? So they had down 8 years. Most High God let him raise up. Othniel said, you know what? I had enough of this. He go to war with him. He killed a man. And then now, 40 years, the land have rest. We not servants. We able to be independent. We doing our thing for 40 years. Watch what happened next.
And Othniel, the son of Kenaz, died.
Uh-huh.
And the children of Israel did evil again in the sight of the Lord.
So after he died, guess what? We went back to our own ways. Right? Then watch what happened.
And the Lord strengthened Eglon, the king of Moab, against Israel, because they had done evil in the sight of the Lord.
Right? So now you have Moab that's coming up, and the person that's ruling Moab at the time is called Eglon. Eglon like, all right, I'm about to get these boys now. So let's see what happened next.
And he gathered unto him the children of Ammon and Amalek, and went and smote Israel, and possessed the city of palm trees.
Mm-hmm.
So the children of Israel served Eglon, the king of Moab, 18 years.
Uh-huh.
But when the children of Israel cried unto the Lord raised them up a deliverer, Ehud, the son of Gera, a Benjamite, a man left-handed. And by him the children of Israel sent a present unto Eglon, the king of Moab.
So look, you had Ehud. The man is left-handed, right? It's important that he mention this fact because it's going to play in later. So he left-handed, right? Ehud, Most High God made him an avenger of the people, right? So Ehud, like, man, I had enough of this. But he sent a gift to Eglon. Remember, Eglon is the enemy. He the, what the kids say, the ops, right? Why y'all wait? Y'all trying to say I ain't hip? You think I don't keep up with this stuff? You know what I'm saying? What you mean? I still got it. You know what I'm saying? So Eglon, you know what I'm saying? He looking at Eglon like, all right, for sure, I had enough of this. Left hand. Left-handed, right? He gonna send him a gift. Watch what the book say. Ah.
But Ehud made him a dagger which had 2 edges, of a cubit length, and he did gird it up under his raiment upon his right thigh.
Right? So Ehud, he made a dagger that had 2 edges. So on both sides, you ever seen a knife? You get like a steak knife, right? And you get a steak knife, and it's only one side that's sharp. So you got to cut everything like this, right? Well, no. He got a dagger that's sharp on both sides. So I can cut you up or down, right? That's what he got. Watch this.
And he girded it upon his right thigh.
Mm-hmm. So then he put it on his right thigh right here, right? So he put it right here because he's left-handed, right? If he put it on this thigh, he gonna have to, you know what I'm saying, do something weird, you know what I'm saying? So he had to put it on this thigh. So he put it like that. Then he girded it up and he covered himself. You know what I'm saying? Because he got a, you know what I'm saying? He got his garment on. So he good. He walk in there. You ever seen like one of the movies where somebody keep a gun right here? They pull up their pants leg, grab the gun, wow, wow, wow. You know what I'm saying? Start shooting. But that's kind of like, this is like the, you know what I'm saying? This is the before Christ version of it. You know what I'm saying? The BC version of it, right? The boy is like right here. He put it right there, cover himself up, walk around. He left-handed. Boy, when y'all playing basketball, right? And you got somebody who left-handed, what that mean? You got to guard them differently, don't you? Most people is what, though? So it kind of throw you off. When you can see somebody that's left, you might not even know they left-handed yet till they hit you with one of these. And they start going that way. They be like, oh, that boy left-handed. You see him with that layup. He said, oh, that boy left-handed. Now you got to change your whole thing because everybody else you've been guarding them to keep them from going to their right. Right? Then you see that boy going left. It's like, oh, that boy nice. He can go left. But then you realize he can't go right. You know what I'm talking about? Because that boy left-handed. So now you just start guarding him to his left. Right? Well, it's the same thing in war. People are looking at it like most people are right-handed. So people automatically is expecting for you to swing with your right hand. Right? I used to have a boy that was left-handed. And in a fight, you know, I was like, well, I don't know if y'all know, but back in the day, you know, you fight, sometimes you get close. You know what I'm saying? And everybody know you can swing it, you might get swung on. Like, if you too close, you might get swung on. So sometimes what they'll do is they'll hold down your right hand. You know what I'm saying? They'd be like, nah, man, you know what I'm saying? You gotta kind of hold down their right hand. Because you right-handed. So you look how he hold it down. That boy, he's always saying, I ain't never seen him do it. It's like that boy used to always say, I'm left-handed. They mess with me, boy. I'm knocking them off. Bow! You know what I'm saying? Just like that, because they wouldn't be ready. Well, this is Ehud, right? He in the same thing. He looking like, I'm left-handed. These boys not going to expect it. I'm going to take this thing to my right thigh, and when it go down, it's going to go down. So let's see what happens. He sent a gift to Eglon.
And he brought the present unto Eglon, king of Moab, and Eglon was a very fat man.
Look, Eglon was a big old boy. That was a fat boy. He got his stomach rolled over and all that. So he's a big old boy. That's a big boy. Eglon, that's a big. Now you don't want to fight Eglon because he's big. You know what I'm saying? But that's a big old, slow, big old boy. Watch this.
And when he had made an end to offer the present, he sent away the people that bear the present. But he himself turned again from the quarries that were by Gilgal and said, I have a secret errand unto thee, O king, who said, keep silence. And all that stood by him went out from him.
So now he told the king, he is like, everybody in there. Because he gave him a gift, like, yeah, man, everybody chilling. It's like Eglon's like, thank you, I appreciate it. Eglon looking at him, he a Hebrew. Eglon looking at him like he chump. You know what I'm saying? But he looking at him like, oh, this is a respectful young man. Brought me a gift. Now he tell me, I got a secret for you. Right? So Eglon like, all right, I don't need nobody hearing no secrets now. Eglon nasty, fat man. There's no telling what he thought that secret was. Don't be telling nobody none of my business now. Boy, everybody out. All right, everybody out. So Eglon about to kick everybody out. Watch this.
And all that stood by him went out from him. And Ehud came unto him, and he was sitting in a summer parlor, which he had for himself alone. And Ehud said, I have a message from God unto thee. And he arose out of his seat. And Ehud put forth his left hand and took the dagger from his right thigh and thrust it into his belly.
Right? So he told him, he was like, man, look, got a secret for you. Eglon like, everybody get out real quick. You got something for me? There's some money? Everybody get out. Everybody get out. You know what I'm saying? Okay. Come here. Let's go into the little summer house. You know what I'm saying? You got the nice little area. Come on over here to the side. Ain't nobody over here. What you, you know what I'm saying? What you off? What you got? You know what I'm saying? He said, no, man. I got a message from God. Then that really got Eglon. He's like, you spoke to God? Eglon was like, he leaned up. He's like, man, what'd he say? He's like, man, I got a message for you from God. Real talk. You know what God said? That boy reached down on his thigh, pulled that thing out, left-handed, yeah. Then you can imagine when Eglon saw him moving, what he started doing. I like to imagine that boy, he is looking for that right hand, like, oh, whoa, oh, just like that, probably lean right into it. Watch where he cut him though. Watch this. He pulled that thing out, yeah, watch this.
And the haft also went in after the blade. And the fat closed upon the blade so that he could not draw the dagger out of his belly.
So now he said he stuck it so far in his stomach that he lost the darn knife in there. right? The man was so fat that his fat wrapped around. So he opened him up, and then his fat wrapped around it. The man can't even pull the thing out no more. Watch this.
And the dirt came out.
You know what that means?
Poop.
Kind of like the organ. You got an organ that handles your poop. You know what it's called? Who knows what that organ is called, or those organs are called? The large and small intestine. I think the real poop is in the small intestine, right? Mm-hmm. Right, because it goes to the large intestine first, then it's the small one. See, I still know a little bit of this stuff. According to what they say, you don't know, prove it. Tell them to prove it. Look, tell them to prove it. Right? So you got the small intestine or the large, and one of them things, he must have hit one of them things, because at that, the poop start coming out. The book said the dirt started coming out. That's what he talking about, poop. So you got all the blood and poop just, big old fat man wrapped around the blade, just oozing out of him like that from the front, right? Let's see what the book says. It's nasty, ain't it?
Then Ehud went forth through the porch and shut the doors of the parlor upon him and locked them. And when he was gone out, his servants came. And when they saw that, behold, the doors of the parlor were locked.
Look at. Ehud, look, all he did was he was like, did that, right? Walked right on out, shut the door behind him. You know what I'm saying? Kept moving. All right, Joe, I'll see you later. You know what I'm saying? I'll see you next week. You know what I'm saying? Just kept it moving. So his servants, because that's the king. You know what I'm saying? Like, I ain't about to just walk in on the king. He got locked doors, right? So they just waiting on the side, like, you know what I'm saying? That boy sure been in there for a long time. Wonder what he in there doing, right? Watch what happened.
Behold, the doors of the parlor were locked, and they said, surely he covers his feet in the summer chamber.
What that mean, covers his feet?
He going poop.
He pooping. What happened when you got a good poop? You ever sat down on the darn toilet, got a darn good poop, you pull them thing down, you sit down on the darn toilet, where them pants go by the time you get off of that toilet? They right over your darn feet just hanging there, and you ain't got no problem with it. You just sitting there just like, hot to darn Molly. You know what I'm saying? Sometimes you kick them things up and you like, oh, I can't even lift the right one. So you lift them both together trying to ooze it out of there. You know what I'm talking about? That's what they're thinking. They're looking like this man covered his feet. So it's like, so imagine, this is how I like to imagine it. He gets stabbed. Poop start coming out of him, out of his intestines. That's how deep the blade went. It opened him up. This stuff happens in real life, by the way. Some people get shot and poop start coming out and all that. This happens in real life. You know what I'm saying? So you got a person who got poop coming out. It ain't like they got the what's it called?
Air freshener?
Not that either. They definitely got that either. What's it called when they put the stuff in the walls?
Insulin? I don't know.
It's like not insulin, but it's insulated. You know what I'm saying? It ain't like they got the insulated walls. You know what I'm saying? So it's like you can probably smell what's going on. So you stab him, he poop. He laid out on the floor, poop just sitting out, right? He go in, he lock the door. You probably smell it right through the darn door, right? So now his people standing outside and the smell start to get, I like to imagine that the smell start to get to him. They like, man, he been there a long time, man, must be covering his feet. Cause they can smell it a little bit. They like, man, he must be out there covering this boy taking a poop. That must be a real one. That boy doing it in the middle of his parlor. Right? So they kind of looking at it like, that's crazy. We're gonna have to clean that thing up. Like they making jokes about him, all types of stuff. Then watch what happened.
And they tarried till they were ashamed, and behold, he opened not the doors of the parlor.
So they tarried till they was ashamed. What that mean?
Like, we wait here a little too long.
They looking like it ain't nobody that pooped that darn long. He must need our help. Right? Cause they ashamed now. It's like, man, we not doing the right thing. Like we supposed to be helping him. So watch what happened next.
And behold, their Lord, he opened not the doors of the parlor. Therefore they took a key and opened them. And behold, their Lord was fallen down dead on the earth. Mm-hmm. And Ehud escaped while they tarried and passed beyond the quarters and escaped unto Serath.
Uh-huh.
And it came to pass when he was come that he blew a trumpet in the mountain of Ephraim, and the children of Israel went down with him from the mountain, and he before them. And he said unto them, follow after me, for the Lord has delivered your enemies, the Moabites, into your hand. And they went down after him, and took the fords of Jordan toward Moab, and suffered not a man to pass over.
Right? So not only did he kill the king, he went back to his land, he blew the horn, he said, all right, let's get him now. Then they went down and they start fighting with all the people, right? All the Moabites. Keep going. Watch this.
And they slew Moab at that time about 10,000 men, and about 10,000 men, and lustly, and all men of valor, and lusty, and all men of valor, and there escaped not a man. So Moab was subdued that day under the hand of Israel, and the land had rest for 60 years.
So now you got 60 years.
80 years.
Oh, now you got 80 years, right? So first, we were down for 8 years. Then we up for 40 years. Then we down for 18 years. Now we back for 80 years, right? So you can see kind of how, you know what I'm saying, you add all these years later, you see how much time is going by also, right? So let's see what happened next.
And after him
So far we had Othniel and we had Ehud, right? Keep going, watch this.
You said we was down for 8 years first?
Yeah, it was 8 years first, right?
Yeah. Then we had the rest 40 years.
8 years, then 40 years, then
18 years.
then 18 years,
Now
then
we-
80.
Yeah, at 80. Okay. All right. And after him was Shamgar, the son of Anath, which slew of the Philistines 600 men with an ox goad.
Uh-huh.
And he also delivered Israel.
What was his name?
Shamgar.
Right? So Shamgar, he was the next one. He came up and he avenged us, right? Who else?
Chapter 4. And the children of Israel again did evil in the sight of the Lord when Ehud was dead. And the Lord sold them into the hand of Jabin, king of Canaan, that reigned in Hazor, the captain of whose host was Sisera, which dwelt in Horsheth of the Gentiles.
Mm-hmm.
And the children of Israel cried unto the Lord, for he had 900 chariots of iron, and 20 years he mightily oppressed the children of Israel.
Mm-hmm.
And Deborah, a prophetess, the wife of Lepidoth, she judged Israel at that time.
Uh-huh.
And she dwelt under the palm tree.
So now you have a woman judge, right? A woman avenger. And she dwelt under the what?
Under the palm tree of Deborah between Ramah and Bethel in Mount Ephraim.
This chapter 4?
Yeah,
Why I didn't think she got started until chapter 5?
because she goes through 5. She's still in 5.
Oh, that messed me up. So let's stop here because there's a lot we want to get into when we get to Deborah. So we're going to stop here and we're going to pick up here next week and we're going to talk a little bit about Deborah and kind of, it's a lot we got to break into. You know what I'm saying? But this is going to be our judge at this point. Her name is Deborah, and she was not only is she a judge, not only is she an avenger of us, she's also a prophetess. What's a prophetess?
A woman prophet.
This is a woman prophet, right? She's a woman, but she's also a prophet. So give me an example of a prophet. Who else was a prophet that we read about so far? Who? Joshua was a prophet. Very good. Who else was a prophet? Who else did we read about so far that was a prophet? Isaiah is a prophet, but we ain't read about him yet, and not in this run. Who else have we read about in the book of Genesis, in the book of Leviticus, Exodus, Numbers, Deuteronomy, Joshua, and all those books? Who was a prophet? Who was the biggest prophet so far? Oh, come on, yo. Moses, right? So Moses was Moses, take him to the judge, right? Moses was the biggest prophet so far, right? So she's a female prophet, a woman prophet. So they call her a prophetess. Remember, a prophet is defined by somebody who the Most High God speaks to in a vision or in a dream. So the Most High God is communicating to her and giving her messages through a vision and a dream. Her responsibility after getting those messages is to give them to the people, right? So we're gonna learn a little bit about Deborah over the next few chapters. Next few chapters starting next week. Okay, hold on, let me see what else. Yeah, okay, Moshe, that's right. David was a prophet, that's right. We ain't got to David yet. Watch along, Brother Fillmore. What's going on, brother? Moses. Yeah, so y'all got it in the chat too. So we're going to pick up next week on Deborah. Any questions for this week? All right, well, let's pray out.